thank you very much for to have the chance to speak here about the German constitutional review processes and deliberation. Actually, in Germany, you realize that you can learn from failures, but you can also draw the wrong conclusions from failures. That is also possible. What you see in Germany is, the constitutional review process is totally, or was totally at the national level in the hand of the parliament. So you have the two chambers of the parliament, and they discuss with organized interest groups when there are hearings, they discuss constitutional processes, and you need a 2/3 majority. And that means you have the ordinary parliamentary process included. At the national level, there was until recently there was no real citizen participation, but we have it in some of our länder. And there was, for example, North Rhine-Westphalia. They had the 77th anniversary and they wanted to change its constitution. And actually, they had already in the years before, they had around 20 constitutional amendments. But in this case, it was seen that they introduced, for example, an online processes. They made some advertising, but there was not a real important amendment in this process. And there was at the end also no referendum that was not obligatory. And so what you could see in the process and the discussion on this amendments and constitutional reforms, it was more or less very not very nice, but very low participation rates, very, very low. And you could see that in the following constitutional processes, it was even abolished. There was no more online panel or platforms to discuss it. And it was even the typical parliamentary processes. The second one was in the state of Hessen between 2015 and 2018. And here it was much more transparent, much more civil society included, more the schools and universities advertised it. And it had also an internet platform. And here there is in Hesse, there is a referendum obligatory to have a constitutional reform. And we had 15 amendments. They all went through this referendums, which are normally take place together with an election. But what you could see is also here only smaller topics were included. And this was mostly, we find a compromise between the big political parties. The third process at this regional level is in Thuringia in Eastern Germany. And they started something in 2020. And here there are comments allowed, but you cannot bring in new ideas. And it's a little bit complicated when it comes to registration. So participatory rates are not so high, but there is no proper evaluation until now. What we have when it comes to participatory democracy is everything is at the local level. And you see here, you have the whole range from participatory budgeting in most cities, from online instruments in some of the cities, in very few, but in some of the cities. You have also mini publics and an older experience with some of, we called it Planungssäle already in the 80s and 90s. And that is now growing slowly. And in some cities, you find this kind of instrument. At the national level, there is one point which gives us some hope, because from the civil society, there was a process initiated in 2019, and it was taken by some of the bigger parties supported it, and finally also the German parliament supported it. And this was on the future of democracy, and now it is on the future on the state of Germany's position in the world. They didn't want to discuss the topic of ecology or sustainability or climate change before the election in this year. But you see here, there is a very slow process, and we hope that there will be some change in this regard. But at the regional level, you see even the opposite direction, that it becomes more and more, again, a pure parliamentary process.